Hi, and welcome back. In this one, I want to talk about character development. Um, One thing I've found with writing my stories is trying to develop a character that is believable. I mean, unless I'm writing a science fiction or a fantasy story, I try and make the characters somebody you could possibly live next door to. I mean, even if I did write even with some of the science fiction ones I write, I still try to make the character believable. Yes, the science fiction, the guy may have lizard blood in him, or he may have horns growing from his head, or something. But as far as the personality of the character goes, it's somebody you could see on the street and say, yeah, okay, I can imagine, walking past this guy. For example, okay, take J.K. Rowling. She wrote the Harry Potter books. The main character, Harry, he doesn't know what family is. Right? Yes, he lives with his aunt and uncle, but that's, even though his aunt is blood, it's still not really family because they never treat him like family. So when he does meet people who treat him like family and show him what love is, he holds on to that, he cherishes that, and he fights for it. That's something you can see in, anybody out on the street. His friend Ron has grown up with hand-me-downs. So when he does get something that's new, he cherishes it. It's something that's unique for him. He understands the value of something brand new. Those are the types of character development I'm looking for when I write my characters. I try to find some sort of, believable flaw or little quirk, some phobia they may have. Like, for example, when I was a kid, some neighborhood boys decided to get a coffee can about yay big or so, about that big around or so, full of garter snakes. Now, garter snakes are not poisonous in any way, shape, or form. And where I lived, there was a swamp that was right up against the edge of this the community property, the apartments and all that. And the swamp was where all the boys went to play. The girls thought I was icky and all that stuff, and the boys went to play. And inside that swamp was where you found a lot of garter snakes. Well, these neighborhood kids, they were, for lack of a better word, they were flat out bullies. Okay, they had this can full of garter snakes, and I saw them on the side of the street. I came out of my house and I walked up to them and said, "Hi guys, how you doing? What are we? What's the game today?" And they said, "Oh, we thought we'd play some catch," and they took the top off the can, the little plastic cover, and hucked the can at me, spilling the garter snakes all over me. They went in my hair, down my shirt, inside my underwear. Having something slither around your hoo-ha down there, that's something that traumatizes you severely. And even now, I have a hard time just looking at pictures of snakes because of that trauma. My daughter, I feel bad about it. I mean, you can laugh about it now, and I pray that she can laugh about it too. But yeah, at the time, it was bad. When my kids were little, I would coach soccer with my ex-wife. We coached soccer because the school that they were at, nobody else would. Not that we knew a whole lot about soccer, but these were kids who deserved something. I mean, it was a really bad part of town, really bad neighborhood. And most parents saw, the after-school programs of soccer or just school itself as a way to get rid of their kids and be free of them for a few hours. When we had soccer games and things like that, no parents ever showed up. It was me, it was my ex. We were the only adults at these soccer games. So we were the only ones that these kids look up to. Well, one Saturday after a particular game, we came back to the school and waited for the kids to get picked up by the parents. And then my ex, my daughter, my son, and her friend got into our car and we drove to the store because we were going to do some grocery shopping for dinner that night. Now, with my kids, I've got a very strange sense of humor. I joke around with them about everything, and it's at the point where if I didn't joke with them, they would think I was mad at them. I mean, there was one time my daughter even asked me if I was mad at her because I didn't joke. She left herself wide open for a joke attack, and I didn't take it. So she asked me if I was okay, if I was mad at her, and it's my way of showing love to them, and they know this, and they expect it. I mean, even my son nowadays, when I talk to him, it's more of a buddy type talk. The way guys will joke and rib and just crack wise with each other. When I put my foot down, yes, he understands and he listens and he follows. Although he is an adult, he can do whatever the hell he wants, but he still follows what I say, especially when it's in my house. But we are able to joke around. We are able to call each other names, and we know it's all in fun. On this particular day, I was joking around with the kids and just having fun. I would make stupid voices and make strange comments about things we saw on the street. Well, we walked into the deli, and in the deli they had a container, about like that big, nice square container, full of baked beans. The plastic lid was closed on top and had tape on it. And I joked around and I said, "Hey, Sweet Pea," that's what I call my daughter, Sweet Pea. I said, "Hey, Sweet Pea, what if I did this?" And I turned it over, holding on to it. Okay? I turned it over her head. Well, the tape on it snapped open. My fingers slipped on the lid, and the contents of the baked beans landed on her head and just oozed all over her. She was completely mortified. I laughed my butt off because it was funny. Yes, it was traumatic for her. I understand that. I felt bad about it, and I took her to the bathroom, and I did the best we could to wash her hair out. It wasn't very easy. We washed her hair. We dried it off. My ex ended up, she paid for the food and all that, and we got to the car and we drove home so my daughter could take a proper shower and clean up. But still, the damage was done. I traumatized her with baked beans. That's a quirk for any character to be perfect. I mean, I joke around with her, or I did joke around with her after it happened. Months after it happened, I started joking again, just because the trauma was still fresh. But I would hold up a can of baked beans. There's no way that this thing could ever pop open. And she would see the baked beans and she'd "Get that away from me, Dad." Just all seriousness. And it became just a joke. I'm hoping that she can laugh about it now because at the time, in her shoes, it was traumatic. It's funny now looking back on it. The best part about it, and I've told her that I'm making YouTube videos. I haven't told her exactly what they're all about, but she contacted me this morning and she mentioned that her new boyfriend knows nothing about the trauma of baked beans. So I said, that's a good thing, but we could use that to try and illustrate making character development in stories. And like I've always said, when you write what you know. If you don't know diddly squat about the internal workings of the human body, you cannot write a book about going into the human body of how the pancreas works or the duodenum. Do we even know where the duodenum is? There's a question. See, if you don't know, you can't really write about it. Take your experiences from life and use that for fuel for your writing. with my daughter's trauma with baked beans. That's a great little quirk. And it's even better in the story because you don't know about it until the situation comes up where they have to do something with baked beans. Then you might get the character starts freaking out because she doesn't understand, or she doesn't like to be around the baked beans, or you've got the friends who offer the bowl and she starts to tense up, or something in the story would bring to light the fear of the baked beans. Why you have a fear of baked beans, we don't know, but then you get into the funny story that tells, and it helps the story along. Hold on. Sorry, I'm really thirsty. But yeah, I try and make the characters believable. Take life stories, life experiences, and try and fashion them into the story or add them into your story. I have a character right now in one of my stories that her main trauma is she survived the death of her parents. Building off of the death I experienced with my mom. I've got another story where the character lives in a world of dark. I think it's like I set up for like every 18 or 20 years, they get 2 days where the sunlight actually hits the planet that he lives on. Otherwise, it's just perpetual twilight. It's not pitch black, but it's, it's that point of night where the sun just goes down, but the darkness of night hasn't completely taken over. That dark gray looking color and everything. That's how the entire world is. So when he does, leave the planet and experiences light for the first time, actual sunlight, a full day of light, it traumatizes him because he has no idea what this big bright thing in the sky is, because again, it's not something at this point in his life that he's ever seen yet. It may not have hit that 20-year mark where they get their 2 days of sunlight. He's probably heard stories of it, but never really experienced it. So, they could have a religion built around how their God shines a light upon their planet every 20 years just to see how they're doing, and then turns back off the light again and leaves them in near darkness. Just things like that to help develop the character. But I told her I told my daughter that when I would say the story, I wouldn't embarrass her, and I'm not going to. I mean, that this is her trauma. I hope her fiance, her boyfriend, does see this, so I don't have to tell him the story. If he does see this, I've got another great story about the Wizard of Oz that she'll absolutely hate. But that's for another time. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.